If you don't mind, or even if you do, I'll canvass the other patrons.
I wouldn't, unless you like to visit the hospital.
Under ordinary circumstances, which these are not, I might respect your request. And just so we understand each other, your threat is offensive, unlawful, and, if you'll excuse me for saying so, laughable.
We'll see who laughs last, Mr. Fancy Talker.
I'm now ready to inspect the baths, Russell.
No, you're not. You've no intention of joining up.
Listen, you muscle-bound twit. Neville's is in violation of numerous tenets in the Code of Public Health. Mould, mildew, common filth are rampant. Let us pass, or I'll report these unsanitary outrages forthwith, and you'll be out of business by this evening.
You made your point. I'll try to keep it clean, but there's too much for one person to do. Can't find any decent help. I'll accompany you. Remember, don't be bothering my clients. You can't walk about unsupervised, mister.
The name is Holmes, Mr. Russell, and I not only can, I have done. You have been singularly unhelpful, Russell. Do you know nothing of Pratt?
Ain't seen him in days. Now no more liberties on my patch. I got a reputation to protect.
In a moment. How about Eldridge Whitney? Does he use these premises?
No. Beg your pardon, Mr. Whitney, sir. As for you, that tears it. Bloody foreign tricks! Get me out of this muck!
Bajitsu is hardly a trick, Mr. Russell. Watson, make certain Mr. Russell remains aquatic. I've had enough of his interference.
With pleasure, Holmes.
A fortuitous meeting, Mr. Whitney. I am Sherlock Holmes.
After you've replaced my towel, you might ask if I care.
Considering your position, Whitney, you might curb your impertinence long enough to discover my purpose.
Your purpose is of no interest. If you continue to harass me, I will take steps.
Naked and enervated? Excuse me, but I doubt your capacity for action. As your attendant is occupied, let's talk about the formula missing from your reading room.
That is a ministry matter. You have no claim to my cooperation, and your brother's obvious indiscretion may be actionable.
My brother's judgment is not likely to be challenged. Yours, on the other hand...
Save your threats. They are ignorant and rude. I speak only on the authority of my superiors, of whom you are not one.
At the moment, you are not accused, Whitney. I'm simply trying to gather information.
You'll get none from me. I know my rights and my duties.
I'll ask you once to reconsider your intransigence.
You waste your breath.
No, my speech perhaps, my patience certainly. My brother nearly killed, and you stand on some inflated idea of your own importance. You fatuous twit. We'll see whose breath is wasted. Now, Mr. Whitney, please share your observations and suspicions about the formula's theft.
Do your worst, Mr. Holmes. I am accustomed to long hours in the heat.
You will not trifle with me, Whitney. Tell me what you know.
I recognize extortion when I see it. This is not a joke. I'm having trouble breathing.
You'll have to do better than state the obvious.
I had no part in the initial disappearance. It was not my responsibility. I do my job very well. I know nothing about this.
But if pressed, innocent as you are, you might speculate about the guilty party?
Yes. Question the Ratchet woman, the Char. She is an internationalist. Have no idea why she's kept on. Could you turn down the heat?
A small taste of Hades for you, I should imagine. Go on.
Many times I've mentioned security is very lax, very slipshod. She could walk off with anything. The heat, Mr. Holmes, could you?
Where might I find Mrs. Ratchet?
She lives in some East End hovel.
The East End is vast. Where exactly?
Pratt would know. Well, ask Sir Avery. He's palsy with her. Is it any wonder respect for the British Empire is on the wane? She's the Char. I ask you. I mean, for heaven's sake, I don't take tea with a woman.
Fortunate for her. Describe her, please.
She's a plain woman.
Brilliant. Colouring, height, weight, facial shape, teeth, distinguishing characteristics?
Who notices such things about the Char?
If you don't want to be parboiled, you better have noticed something.
On her tea breaks she reads. Everything. Reading all the time, classified documents for all I know. And it makes her squint badly. Probably needs spectacles. Are my eyes starting to bulge?
Not to worry, Mr. Whitney. You're a fine shade of lobster pink. When did you last see Thomas Pratt?
I truly can't recall. Except when we pass in the hall or exchange duties at the desk. We had only Nevilles in common. Turn down the heat, will you?
Thomas Pratt has been found dead, Mr. Whitney.
You don't say. Well, nihil nisi bonum de mortuis, but I suspect he had numerous unfortunate habits and the associations to match.
Would you care to elaborate on that obloquy?
The truth defames no one. He was an unhappy man, and I'm sure he indulged in drugs. Died by his own hand, did he?
Hardly. He was assassinated. To punish him and complicate his identification, his face was obliterated. The bullet nearly blew his head off.
Why?
Because he knew something he should not have known. If you're involved in anything you shouldn't be, have a care, Mr. Whitney. Can you conceive of a connection between Pratt's murder and the stolen formula?
There isn't one.
How can you be sure?
I didn't just fall off the back of a turnip wagon. I am mentally acute.
That is palpably false, but for the moment I'll assume you're simply ignorant of a connection. Our conversation thus far has been neither difficult nor painful. It can become both, if you insist.
I have nothing more to say to you on any subject. Just replace my towel and leave.
There are few things I appreciate less than being lied to, Mr. Whitney.
I'll try to remember that.
Test my patience and I'll make certain you never forget it.